Hello and welcome to Kicking Tires. I'm Jimmy,
And I'm Justin.
and today, well, there's a lot to cover. There's actually some great news that launched. Today is February 3rd, which means the Ford F-150 Raptor was announced. We also are going to be talking about the Blackwing. We also are going to be talking about Genesis. There's a few trademarks that are kind of interesting. We have a Subaru recall blaming one single person. That's going to be hilarious. And then we're going to talk about the review we just had here, the BMW M8 Competition Grand Coupe. Long name, long car, long discussion. So we'll get to that. And at the end, let's talk about affordable sports cars and what do we see in the future. In any case, let's get right into it. Ford F-150 Raptor. Let me let's show this so that everyone can see kind of that information
There
here.
we go. It is kind of what we expected. Show the side profile, I think, because it is very similar to the current car. And I think if you stand about 20 feet back, they're quite indistinguishable. It's got very similar elements. The fenders look identical to me. The headlights obviously are a little bit different. Yeah, what's new about this Raptor?
I don't know, man. To be honest, like I went through all the press materials. I dug into it, but it to me it's not that exciting. It's not as exciting as the TRX unveil. And the biggest reason for it, if you go into like their media site, they talk nothing about power. Nothing. And because they know they
Yes.
lost that with this brand new gen of the Raptor, there is going to be a Raptor R that's going to be coming in the future, and that's going to have more than 700 horsepower with the same engine from the GT 500. But this, to me, it's just like a small upgrade. I mean, yes, there's like a brand new chassis, there's new suspension design, there's a lot of things that's new, but it doesn't wow
Well, I think it's okay because, to be honest, the TRX, everyone's like, is this Raptor going to compete with our TRX? And the answer is no, because the price point is quite different. So the TRX starts in Canada just about 100,000. It's not very well equipped, and realistically, they're going for about 120 plus dealer markup, just like we saw with the Hellcats. You're not getting them for MSRP. Raptor, on the other hand, it's been around for a while and they're very popular cars. And, you know, for around 70 to 90,000, that's not that much more than most people are spending on their pickup trucks. That's what's always made the Raptor very cool. It's somewhat obtainable, I want to say. I think the TRX is quite the compromise in terms of both the price point and also fuel economy. I mean, that thing is rated at a combined, 10 miles per gallon. So you're lucky to be in the double digits for MPG. Whereas, EcoBoost's always been okay. With the normal F-150s, they've been really good.
Mhm.
But the Raptor is not too bad either, although I think the Raptor takes premium. One new thing about the Raptor, we are seeing Ford offering 37-inch tires. Is Ford offering that, or are they saying they can take up to 37? Because we can.
They're offering it as a 37-inch package. So there's a package
Yes.
that's 37. So you get a brand new frame with that to handle those 37s. With the 37s, you get better ground clearance, better approach, departure, and well, basically, in most off-road scenarios, you're going to get better angles with the 37s, but it reduces 1 inch of wheel travel because of the 37s, obviously.
Mm.
So I mean, yeah, it's cool. It absolutely is cool. And with the 37s, there's 17-inch beadlocks that are on it. They look amazing. They really do. I think overall it's a good truck, but it just doesn't wow me because I was wowed
Right.
with the TRX.
It doesn't push the boundaries of what we expect from an off-road, high-speed truck. But it is a development from the old F-150, and I
Right.
think we're seeing the same with the normal F-150. That's going to continue to be the market leader in terms of truck sales, and that was just a step up the previous gen from 2015, 2016 was such a huge upgrade going with the aluminum body. And this is just kind of a refinement on top of that. This generation Ram, on the other hand, was such a big upgrade in terms of just the interior materials. Everything about it was a huge step up. But this is priced, I would say, closer to the Rebel even. A
Yeah,
loaded Rebel is around 70, 80 as well. And
and this is much much
it's
more
much cooler
capable.
than a Rebel. It's
Yeah,
way more capable. So to be fair, we can't expect this to be impressing us as much as something that costs about 40% more.
yeah.
We'll wait for the real or
Raptor R.
Raptor R, Raptor R, for that.
Well, what's kind of cool is they did update the payload as well as towing capacity with this 2021 Raptor. So it's up 200 pounds on both, which means 1,400 pounds for payload, 8,200 pounds for towing, which coincidentally beats the TRX on both counts.
That's
So
nice. I
like
mean,
they looked at that and they're like, hey, we can beat them here, and that's exactly what they done. And because the EcoBoost, it's well a much more economical engine.
it's way more realistic. I mean,
It really is.
the thing
And
is, the Raptor, a lot of people are living with this day to day. I see people
oh
driving
yeah,
these to
absolutely.
work, construction. The TRX is more of that toy. It's not like a real. It's not a real truck replacement. The Raptor, you can kind of use that for your. You're not really beating up an $80,000 normal F-150 Platinum or whatever, anyways. So as a replacement, I think the Raptor is pretty cool for that.
Right. I was looking at the Ford Media site. They were saying they have no figures on horsepower and torque, none whatsoever. It doesn't even list it. So we're estimating that it's going to be the same power as it is now. They did say that it's going to deliver better low end torque, but they didn't really say too much about
Mhm.
that. But what they were bragging is 500-mile range, about 800 kilometers on the 36-gallon tank. So that equates out to about 13.8 miles per gallon, which isn't bad. Like during their testing, I mean, 13.8 is decent for a truck this size and with that much power.
That's what my F-150 gets, which also has I don't know how many gallons it is, 136-liter tank. I get around 750 to 800. That's with the V8. So,
Because you got the Coyote in yours,
and
right?
I have a Coyote V8, and the normal EcoBoost F-150s get a lot more range than that. They average around 12, 13 in the real world. I'm getting probably 15, 16 liters per 100 kilometers. And it's totally reasonable for a truck of this size and power to use that kind of fuel. So it's a huge gas tank. And one of the things I noted was with this truck or with this size gas tank, you can't fill it up in one go in the States. I took the truck down to Washington and Oregon, and they only let you fill up 20 gallons at a time. And
Oh,
so, and like you can't fill up any full size pickup truck from empty with 20 gallons. So you have to make two transactions. I thought that was kind of annoying. But 800
yeah.
kilometer range, 500 miles, totally realistic. I think it's especially with that 10 speed, it definitely takes advantage of the power band very well.
I think for the owners for those Raptors, it's likely they're able to achieve that versus like the TRX owners.
Yeah,
That's probably not going to happen. I mean,
that's embarrassing range.
I got a TRX actually booked as a press car in May, I believe. I'm just anticipating like 30 liters for 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna be expecting.
That's if you drive it like a normal person. But if you're the kind of person that goes out and buys $150,000 truck, you may not be driving it like a normal person.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Something that's also really cool about this brand new Raptor is their exhaust system. They called it a trombone system. So there's a mid-pipe trombone loop added so that it's an equal length exhaust. I mean, I get it, an equal length exhaust so that the pulses on the both sides match. There's a built-in X pipe it should sound better. I'm sure you've heard Raptor exhaust right now. It sounds horrible.
Yeah,
Like any V8
this
sounds much, much better than any of those EcoBoosts. It just doesn't sound great. I'm hoping this may be a little bit better. And there's 4 different sound modes. There's a quiet, normal, sport, and Baja, which I would assume is quite illegal to be driving that on your kind of day-to-day commute.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one of the knocks with the Raptor throughout the last generation was, it's not as cool as the old one with the 6.2, because it just doesn't sound as good. And
It's
that's
faster.
that's always been the justification for the Coyote too. Was that people were, oh well, this one's got the way better sounding engine. I mean, it doesn't really matter for me, but I think the
Yeah, you
Raptor is
bought the
cool either
Coyote.
way. I bought the Coyote. It's a better tow vehicle. You know, this Raptor can, with 1,400 pounds payload, that is 35 pounds of rice, or 35 bags of rice. Sorry. My F-150, my friend shoved it last week with 80. That is
Slightly
double
over
the
payload.
rated payload,
Yeah,
but
slightly over. It's fine.
but it handled it just fine, with the Bilstein shocks and with the KO2s on there. It
And a
does
small
just,
crack in the frame.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I do know some people towing with the Raptors, and it's never it was never meant to be a tow vehicle. My uncle towed. He lives up in Kelowna. He towed up there, towed a truck, and transmission didn't like that. So
Yeah. There I think for me to be excited about it, I think I need to see the Raptor R. I think that's what's going to get people excited about the Raptor. This is not bad by any means. People are going to buy it. It's going to be one of those attainable, well, more attainable than the TRX. It's going to be something that's more reasonable, and it's going to be something that someone can buy as their only vehicle.
right, it's
Whereas the
going to be a
TRX, I
volume
feel like,
product.
yeah, the TRX is going to be, the guy probably has like a Challenger as well, or a Charger in his fleet, because I mean, you're not going to be driving that every day.
You live and breathe Mopar too. It's like, I don't know. Uh,
But to be honest, I don't know about you, but this interior, this 2021 interior, I'm not feeling it. Like, it's not a lot better than the previous. Yes, you get a bigger screen, but it just looks like a tombstone in the center of your dash. To me, it's not. It's just, it doesn't bring me joy. The
yeah,
TRX, the 12-inch display, yes, there's still some physical buttons on it, but it just looks better. And I don't know. I guess I gotta feel what an F-150. I haven't sat in a current gen just yet. I sat in the previous. I think it was a King Ranch that I got into, and I just wasn't that impressed comparing to the Rams interiors.
correct. Yeah, and I mean the only thing that anyone's talked about with this generation F-150 is, oh, the shift lever goes down. It's really,
Well, it goes down, and then you can have a table in the center. How cool is
right.
that?
That's the more PG version of what I've heard, but
Oh,
yeah, we won't go there.
all the things you can do on a surface within your Ford. Well, I that's really all I have for the F-150. Anything else you want to add?
No, not really. Let's move on to other big three news. We've got Cadillac in the news this week. New reveal of the CT4V and the CT5V Blackwing edition. So CT4V V series has been out for a little bit, and they've kind of changed up the naming again for Cadillac, which they seem to love to do. So before we had cars like the CTSV, the ATSV; those were their holy grail, real track bred performance cars. Now the V name, the CT4V, is more like an M performance, or kind of like a middle tier AMG or an S4 kind of trim. Um, so the V was just a sport model, but now the Blackwing, this is our dedicated track car. Cadillac is saying this is their most track ready car yet, and credit where credit's due. They do look quite competent. CT4 slots in kind of between that what A3 A4 size, and the CT5 is kind of between the A4 and the A6.
Yeah.
I find it's not quite there like with a 5 Series or
Yeah.
E-Class in terms of size, but price point wise, 84,000 as you can see there, US. That's in line with the new M3 competition, I think. But power wise, that's huge. With the CT5V, we're getting a 6.2 supercharged V8. That's what 668 horsepower. So
Most
familiar,
powerful Cadillac
yeah,
ever.
familiar from GM for the Alpha platform to be doing that. And then the CT4V is kind of filling in where the ATS-V left off. I really liked the previous gen ATS-V. I thought it looked the part, had some real performance behind it. Um, and yeah, 472. So that's more in line with the M3 M4 power. The CT5V has gone a step up, but the big news is the 6-speed manual that's come standard on both cars.
Yeah.
um, I read something in the press release that I thought was interesting. Was only the manual transmission CT4V gets a titanium connecting rods. I guess they're more heavy duty, or maybe it's a weight thing. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but knowing GM performance car history, the automatic is going to be the afterthought. Weirdly enough, with four-door luxury sedans, that automatic, I bet, is going to be disappointing, especially if you're going to be comparing it to the MDCTs, the PDKs, and whatever out there from the Europeans. I think the manual is kind of the way to go.
But the
Uh,
10 speed is the new, or maybe not so new, the 10L90, which is a twin disc clutch with rev match, no lift up shift. And
mhm.
as well as it has launch control and even line lock. So like there's some cool things about it.
Right,
So
line
like
lock.
line lock is cool. I mean, you can do smoky burnouts. I mean, that's all you really want to do in your
Yeah, you can shred
before
some
CT5E.
tires. I was looking at, I'm a bit of a tire nerd, and I'm looking at the tire sizes. The CT4V, I think it's quite a small car. I didn't realize how small it was, but the rear tire is like a 275 35 18,
Mm.
which I think is quite interesting. It's smaller. Actually, I'm running that size on my M2 right now, but it's a 25, just under a 26-inch tire. So this is a little car. It should be a lot of fun on the track. The only close-up picture I could find of the brakes of the CT4V was of the rear, which is just the four piston. 59,000 US. So yeah, what
Yeah.
else do we have on this?
I Okay, so I want to get to the looks because to me that's where I have the biggest problem with the CT4V and the CT5V. I just don't like they look good, but they're not as aggressive as I remember like the CTSVs of the past. They used to look better. Like the CT4V, I wish I can find a better picture, but this wing in the back on the CT4V, it looks like
It's
the
quite
spoilers that you find in
ridiculous.
the NASCARs, like it's absolutely humongous how much it goes up. I mean,
It
I'm sure
doesn't
it's
work.
functional.
No.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's somewhat functional, if in order for them to put it into production, but they don't. They look kind of just bland, right? Like it doesn't have. It's not like an M Sport car, or sorry, not an M Sport, but like full M car,
Yeah, it
AMG
doesn't
car with
have the grill too.
grills, canards. Like it doesn't stand out as something that's super aggressive. And some might like that, right? I mean, the
I do
people
like
that's buying Audis, I'm sure they'll like this because Audis and even the like RS6 is
that.
quite understated, and this it actually is quite understated.
One thing I really like about the CT4V, if you zoom into the bumper, I don't know if we have another shot somewhere as
Nope.
closer up, but the you know how the headlight has those kind of eye teardrop
Yep.
kind of design going down. The CT4V has a cooling inlet for the brakes that just go a little bit wider and just gives it like a really cool
Oh, okay.
touch. I really like that about it. It reminds me a little bit of the GT500, how it was just this is where the headlights end, and then on a standard car, and then this car has a big boxy vent there. Um, Up close, that front bumper is quite nice. I do like the, uh, next side by side with a standard trim car. Then you're like, okay, there's a picture. Where is this?
Seeing if I can grab here. I'm gonna grab it from Autoblog. This one right here. This
Yes,
little.
that's the one. That's the one where we can really see the difference from the regular CT4, which I think that might be a V line as well.
Yeah.
But you can see elements of that Camaro 1LE pack in that. I think this is with the optional aero package with that canard,
Yeah.
which if that means you have to get that ridiculous rear wing, I may or may not go with that. But I think this is a compelling car. I think BMW, AMG, they're not going to be looking forward to these cars competing on track together. Let's just put it that way. GM knows what they're doing with this FR platform. And with the manual transmission, they're going to have the brakes and the reliability to run track days. That's the idea behind this Blackwing lineup. Apparently, is to track abuse them.
And it's the last hurrah, really, for Cadillac to have a high performance,
Big
like,
power manual.
yeah, because I mean, this is not going to last. There's not going to be a
Right.
next gen of this. It's going to go electric. They were going to go to some sort of electric supercar
Yeah,
because
and
we
it's
have
not
to.
just Cadillac, right? This and the M3 are probably the last of the four-door manual big power cars. The upcoming M3 is going to be available with the manual.
Mhm.
Anything else? I can't think of anything in that realm.
No Mercedes,
Um,
no AMG vehicles are going to have manual anymore. So
exactly, Audi's not there. Uh, Infinity doesn't really, from what if we're counting them in this discussion. Genesis does, but only on the lower model one, right?
yeah,
They don't compete at this level either.
no, they don't. They really don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is cool. Um, like I always look for CTS-V wagons, the last gens, because I'm in love with those. If I could ever find one, that's like my ultimate. I won't say dream car, but one of those attainable cars that I really like because
yes,
it's just cool.
it's really cool. The shape is cool. I do find myself wanting the CT4V.
Yeah, but you're weird. You got to remember that.
I am, and I don't think I can't see anyone buying this car at the same time. As much as I want this car, I can't see anyone buying this car, and that's how it was with the ATS-V as well. I think the price point, and then it's like you get what I got, which is an M2 because they're priced the same. It's not as fast. It won't hold up as well on track, but that's such a cool car.
Yeah,
The shape, the size, and the proportions. I think it's a better performance car. uh and having driven quite a few now with the GM alpha platform cars, I think they know how to dial in the suspension. Let's just put it that way.
yeah. The
And
Magna Ride, it's really good. It really is.
yeah, they're easy to drive too. Like you think a Camaro with 700, almost 700 horsepower is very intimidating. They somehow make it work. It's no Hellcat. Like
I
um,
think the coolest part about the ATS was because it just came in a coupe, and when it comes in a coupe, it just looks cooler.
it
Like
does. The
it just,
sedan is cool too. Look at the power bulge on that hood.
I yes, the sedan is always cool. It always is, but it just there's something about coupe stylings that just looks
Yeah.
like it's so sleek.
It is, and if you put a little, I've seen them with a little GT wing on the back. They look so good.
Did you see that in Gran Turismo or?
No, no, just like on Instagram. Yeah. CT5V, on the other hand, it is supposed to be a more grown up looking car, so I get it, and
Yeah,
it you know what? Credit where credit's due. This is more aggressive than say an STSV back in the day, or
yeah. The STSV was an afterthought, though.
but even the original CTSV, the first one
The
when the
first one was pretty
C5 was
bland.
around, it's pretty mild.
I mean,
The CTSV of this generation looked pretty similar to that too.
this is just they just
It
gave up
was the
here,
second gen when they went a lot more aggressive.
right?
That black one in the bottom right there, but the silver one is just the first gen of CTSV. That was one of the first Nurburgring cars. When that car came out, we test this on Nurburgring. I mean, that one's modified a little bit, but the silver one there on the
Yeah,
bottom left, it's not they're not over the top cars.
no.
And I
It's
think
the only thing that was changed was like the grill and bumper. I think that was it.
yeah, and I'm looking at this CT5V from behind, and it's got a nice little diffuser on it. It's got the right recipe, I feel like, for this class of vehicle.
Yeah, I think it looks good. It just doesn't. It's almost like the Raptor. It just doesn't wow me. It's not like, oh, that's. I'm not. It's not going to
Yes.
turn heads of everyone. It's going to turn heads of nerds that know the car and hear it. They'll probably turn. But for a lot of people, it's just like, oh, it's just your grandma's Cadillac.
I think as a platform, it works. Like because if I take this, I'm gonna lower it a little bit, maybe, or
Yeah,
mess around with it a little bit. Just put some more aggressive wheels on it, maybe some carbon bits here and there, and it will come together quite nicely.
yeah.
I see the
Strip out,
potential.
strip out the interior, cage it.
Speaking of the interior, one of the things on the CT4V that I thought was interesting was they're like, oh, to save weight, because you know how BMW was like M5 CS, the one we talked about last week, and, carbon everything. They shaved like 200 pounds. On this car, they're like, we went with a neodymium magnet speaker system that's lighter than a traditional speaker. And it's true. Neodymium magnets, working in this industry, I do see it. It is a lot lighter, but realistically, you're probably saving 10, 15 pounds out of the whole system. It's
It's
not the end of the world.
it's
You're not
it's
going to
something
feel.
that they can write about and just brag about a little bit, but I don't think it's the end all.
Yeah, the CT5V is available with carbon ceramics. Those do save a lot of weight. The rotors, I think you're saving like 20 pounds or yeah, around 20 pounds a corner. It's nuts.
Yeah, it sounds fun
Uh,
too.
Carbon ceramics are terrible to live with day to day though. And so it doesn't really make sense in a four door
As
system.
someone that has access to a car that has carbon ceramic brakes,
Yeah, it's just an on-off switch, and they get noisy easy, and I don't recommend it for most people. But it is. I've installed them before, and it's just I held it side by side with the C7 normal Z06 rotor and the carbon ceramic rotor, and the carbon ceramic one you can lift with two fingers. It's amazing how light those rotors are, and obviously for this car weighs, I think, a little bit over 4,000 pounds in the CT5V and a little bit over 3,600 pounds. They haven't released the official
but
figures
yeah,
yet, but we know it's in kind of that
roughly there. Yeah,
range. Um, which for this size of vehicle is okay. It's not
I don't think it's
particularly.
too porky. No,
Yeah, it's kind of mid tier. I didn't never really gave much thought. We were talking about it earlier before the show, which was we don't really see these cars, the
not at
CT4,
all.
CT5, not in the lower mainland. But I looked at the sales figures; they actually do okay. It's always been, if you're looking for this small to mid-sized luxury sedan, you go to the Germans. What is it that's going to draw people over to this Cadillac brand? They've been around, they have the history, they have they have quite the dealer network, because basically all the GM dealerships, at least in North America, they have quite the dealer network. Um, Looking at the figures, they sell kind of around the same as like an IS or TLX Q50. They're in that range, but we just
Yeah.
don't see them here.
No, we definitely don't. I think like price point wise, they're doing pretty well. Like
Oh
for
yeah,
the performance, 83K for a CT5e Blackwing and 60 for CT. It's a very very competitive price range.
yeah, they always will be. And I mean, even the normal CT4V without the Blackwing designation, that's a mid $40,000 car, and you're not getting much from the other brands for not getting the same level of performance
Yeah,
for sure.
from a German maker, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, you're getting a base A2 or A2 220 sedan.
Yeah.
You can't really even get into a CLA 250 for that money, and
Yeah.
that's a lot more car with a CT4V
Yeah.
than a base model CLA, which my mom has one on order that is not being delivered because there is a pending recall on it, and they
Oh,
can't they can't deliver a car that has a recall until they fix it. Uh, so, and they can't fix it yet.
maybe
So
you should take your own advice and just buy her a CT4V.
exactly right. But
Yeah.
the one thing with Cadillac, at least in Canada, is that we've never had good lease rates from them,
Mm,
and that's kind of the hold up here. If I could lease that CT4V Blackwing for not a lot of money, or maybe let's not say not a lot of money, but Audi money,
yeah,
maybe,
just
maybe
something that's more reasonable. Because
it's
yeah,
more
you're absolutely
competitive.
right. I was looking to electric cars, and I was thinking, I was like, huh, how much can I get a Bolt for? Nope. The rates.
Yeah, I looked into that. That's why I ended up with a RAV4 hybrid. I looked into the Bolt, I looked into Leaf. Both were ridiculous, and yeah, I guess they weren't really thinking that long term that they don't think these will hold up
No.
with the value, I guess. But on the other hand, I have a friend. Speaking of around the CT5V range,
Mhm.
I have a friend that's picking up an RS5. He's waiting. He ordered maybe 2 months ago, and they've got incentives on those. The RS5 Sportback. I think his lease is going to be about $1,200 a month, which for that tier of vehicle is pretty reasonable. It's a lot more car than you get from BMW at that price, or at least at the moment. But they are running incentives. Yeah, I think
RS5 is
that's
kind of
the thing.
boring.
The RS5, the
I
new
I
one,
want the 7. If I'm gonna go Audi, if it's not
the
the
6 or
7,
the 7. Yeah.
yeah, like the RS6, it's great being that it's
Yeah.
wagon is super usable. But if I want like the look, I want the 7. I mean, unless the
Yeah.
RS5, did he come in sportbacks for RS5?
Yeah, he's getting a Sportback.
Oh,
So
okay. Then
uh,
that's okay.
he's
That's
getting a
okay.
Sportback, and for $1,200 a month or so, it was like 12 or $1,300, and you can't touch anything in that price because that's $100,000 car.
Right.
You can't lease $100,000 cars for
1200 bucks,
1,300.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
typically no. Yeah,
well, speaking of
luxury
high
brands that aren't really catching on in the lower mainland.
perfect segue to Genesis. Um, I okay, so I've been in some Genesis before. G70, 80, 90. I have the GV80 as well as the new G80 on book sometime next month, I think.
Mhm.
I really like where Genesis is heading. And they trademark some new vehicles. They put an E distinction in front of them. So they have the EG70, EGV70, the EG80, the EGV80, the EG90, and the EGV90. Are they going to be full electric? Probably not. I don't think it's going to go full electric just yet. I think it's going to be a plug-in hybrid because it makes more sense for them to go plug-in hybrid than it is to go full electric because I just don't think they have the tech for it just yet.
Yeah, and I mean
Um,
even Mercedes, they're doing a 350e kind of thing. They're not
yeah, the
doing full.
EQC and yeah,
Yeah,
I really don't think it's going. I don't know. Of course, it's speculations, right? But it'll be cool. The GV70, I'm actually like, I think that's going to be our next vehicle. I want
Oh,
a smaller SUV, but something more premium brand. Well, not super small, maybe a mid-size. So that's what the GV70 is. And being an eGV70, that is very intriguing to me.
yeah. I mean, you're gonna have your own place to charge too going
Yeah.
forward.
I have, yeah,
Um,
moving into a condo, so I can just, or not a, a townhouse,
Townhouse.
so I can plug it right in. I don't have to worry about it. It would make sense, but of course,
I really like their front end design on that
it's
car.
beautiful.
It's beautiful, and there's corporate design language that you're like, okay, now I recognize this as a Genesis. The interior, on the other hand, I'm not sold on. I don't know what they're doing.
I think the GV70. So this one that we're looking at here is the regular or the luxury version.
Yeah,
The sport one with the sportier
it's
grill.
very Jaguar.
That it is super Jag. But if you look on the back, that's when like that it's a little much.
The C
And
pillar design, it's just two. It's a car stacked onto another. It's a Pontiac Aztec a bit in that. No, you know what that's the Jensen. Is it
oh, the
called a
Jensen
Jensen?
Interceptor, yes.
Yeah, is that where we've seen that? Can you pull up a picture of that?
Jensen
The
Jensen
rear.
Interceptor. Yeah, kind of. I mean, it has like
It just a weird kind of mismatched rear window design. Um, and that's kind of what I
I don't
see
know
with
how you
this
got that from looking at this.
G70. Well, you know what? Should we talk about what my after show comments on that SSC we saw last week
Oh, yes. So
for the YouTube watchers?
for the YouTube watchers, we were looking at SSC,
Tortara?
yeah, the new world
Forgettable.
record. We were looking at this. Well, Justin was looking at this. He was like, "That reminds me of something." And
Where
then, like
have I seen that front end before?
a day later, he messages me and says, "Oh, let me pull that picture up. I think
I know where I've seen this now.
wait,
Yeah.
let me what's a good way for me to pull this picture down? One sec here. One sec. Worst screenshot.
No spoilers.
this
That's where I saw it.
he saw it in some Scania or Volvo.
I think it's a
truck.
Volvo semi truck. Has
He
the
was
same
looking-
little Nike swoosh that going vertically, and that's what I saw. Some people might see a Lamborghini Gallardo, but I'm thinking outside the box here. It's
It's a Volvo truck. That's what
yeah. Oh, this is a land speed record supercar. Looks like looks a bit like
Volvo
a
truck.
semi truck. Yeah, but no. Looking at the side profile of this GV70, yeah, the rear is a little bit strange for my liking. Did they have this at the auto show?
No,
Is this the one?
it's brand new. It hasn't been released yet in North
Okay.
America, so we'll get it apparently next year. But
How do you like that interior though?
it's a little weird. But
It's really
I know the materials is going to be good. But this is the regular one. This is the sport one. So this is the one with the three-spoke steering
is a
wheel.
lot more normal.
Yeah, I gotta see how I like this two-spoke design, but the sport one is kind of where it's at with the traditional three-spoke. I like how that kind of center stack of the climate control, it's wrapped around the steering wheel, so it's cohesive from left all the way to right. So it looks kind of more normal in that sense. But if you're just looking on the right for the YouTube viewers, you can see it's a little weird.
It's a
Just
little bit
looking-
alien.
Yeah, but like if we just dissect this a little bit more. So let me see if I can open new tab.
It has a retro look to it, like something from the 50s or 60s.
It does. But check out this
cars
chrome
with the
line.
big fins. it has that kind of feel to it.
Oh, that Chrome line is blocked. Let's see here. Let's open this one. Oh, that's a YouTube video.
Well, and talking about last week's episode, we were talking about that Hyundai Tucson, was it the new Tucson? Where
Yeah,
it had a bit of that flowing theme going, and then they just kind of gave up. This is the opposite of that.
this is
This
amazing. This Chrome
they
line goes from door up the
over
cluster
the cluster.
across the air vents all the way to the other side. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that screen, like it's massive.
Do we want something that has a bit more of a SUV truck flair, though?
Oh, not
It's-
not in this.
No,
I don't think a GV70 should have truck flare. No one's buying a luxury SUV for a truck flare. I
but
mean,
you want to, most people want to sit up taller and
you do sit
feel
up
like they're
taller.
driving something more commanding. I think
Yeah.
this is like an ND Miata shape. You see it now? Like
Can't be unseen. Oh gosh.
yeah, like the proportions of how high that center armrest area is
Yeah.
relative to where your climate controls are and relative to the screen. I think it gives the car maybe a more low slung sporty feel.
I'm intrigued. I mean, look how happy he is sitting in this. I mean, his
You
arms.
really want to spend your own money on this kind of car, though. I mean, how
Well,
much is this going to be priced at?
it's going to be competitive to like the I think
X3?
Q5.
X3
X3?
Q5.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be less than them because they always are. But Genesis have good lease rates, and in Canada, they take care of all your maintenance for the first 5 years, and it's in
They
house.
pick up your car.
Yeah, you call them, they go to your house, they pick up your car, drop off another, and they service it. They bring it back. What's not to love?
Yeah, as long as their lease rates are competitive, I can see that. I looked into what's the little sports sedan with the rear wheel drive.
G70.
They were okay. They weren't super competitive there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, I think that's one of those. Oh, clicked the wrong thing. I think that's one of the things we'll see. But I think Genesis is one of those up and coming brands that people should really keep an eye out.
Yeah, you do need to keep it on your radar. I mean, if you're shopping in this segment, Genesis, Volvo's kind of making a little bit of a comeback. Kind of, not really, but yeah.
Well, no real good segue on this, but there is one guy at the Subaru plant that's getting a little bit of flack. a little. So this is an official NHTSA safety recall here that I have open. It's for the 2021 Subaru Outback. And the issue is the CVT select lever cable or lever cable. The nut may have been under torqued during vehicle assembly. And the quote here is a single associate assigned to the specific production line between production dates specified 12/14/2020 to 12/21 was found to use an improper torque wrench technique. So one guy, he was just not all there or whatever. He just didn't use a torque wrench the way it should be.
And they're like, oh crap.
And now they have to recall 314 vehicles because there's one guy. Can you
Hopefully
imagine?
It's not too bad of a fix.
Could you imagine what he's going through right now? Like, is he fired? Like, does he still have?
I think he's already been fired. They probably caught it, and they probably caught it in December, and then now they're coming forward with reports of people having this issue. And they're like, oh, this guy can't even use a torque wrench properly. He's got it on the loosen setting.
It's just like, imagine like it was his first week, and it's just that was his only job. He only had to
torque a lever,
this one lever cable nut. That's all he had to do.
He's doing it backwards.
And that's it. That's the end of his career. On his resume.
At least they didn't name him. It goes on LinkedIn. Hey, why were you at Subaru for 1 week?
Oh yeah, that guy that couldn't tighten a nut? Yeah, that was me.
The Outbacks are made in America, right?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah. So Some guy in Alabama, I guess, goes over to Chrysler and they're like, "You're hired."
Oh,
No, Tesla's gonna hire him.
Tesla's not gonna care. It's like, oh, our it's
Looks
about
good
the
to
same
me.
anyways.
That me.
Oh, well, that's that's a news for Subaru. A little bit of safety, and then we move on to something a little bit more exciting here. This is I don't
Whose
know if you had
video is that? That's quite a cinematography.
I don't know if you had a chance to watch this yet, but this intro, I was doubting if I should put this intro live or not because there's a small burnout, which we'll see in a second. It sounds great though.
They expect that.
It sounds amazing. That 4.4 liter V8.
What's the as tested price of this vehicle?
A little much. We'll get to that. Watch this launch.
Oh, they're on the Winters.
Yeah, so because it is winter time right now, the car was delivered on winters and
Those
on
wheels are so
19s.
ugly.
The standard wheels on a BMW M8 Comp is 20s. These were 19s because I guess they can't find 20-inch winter tires that will fit. So they downsized to 19s. They don't look great on the car, but yeah. Price as tested, $161,500.
That's lower than I thought.
144.
Honestly, that's in the reasonable range, I feel like.
Did you run into a lot of money recently? Like that's a reasonable range? Come on. 160, okay, honestly speaking though, 161 isn't bad. And I looked into the AMG GT 4-door, which is actually quite a bit more than this. The AMG GT 4-door, it's comparable in terms of kind of like their specs, but it's actually quite a bit more. And the
Panamera Turbo is going to be way up there.
Oh no, the Panamera, that's way more because Porsche is in their own league.
It's a way nicer car though. Like I don't know.
Let's be honest. If we were to get a Panamera Sport
Turismo,
it'll be the Sport Turismo, probably e-hybrid 4S, all those numbers. Like it wouldn't be the regular Panamera.
Yes, and it's over 200 easily.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
How? Okay, so I haven't been a big fan of this Generation 8 series. I think it looks cool, but you can pause it at that angle. I think the coupe, it does make a case for the regular coupe because the coupe's got the really muscular rear fender arch, and the way it resolves with the roof line. I do see that as a really nice touch from a styling perspective. I've always been a big fan of BMW's Grand Coupes, the last generation 6 Series, and the 4 Series was pretty solid too. I mean, you're getting all the practicality and more styling than a regular 3 Series. But yeah, no, from this angle, it looks a little bit. It might be those winter wheels, honestly. It's kind of bland, but you know what's also bland is also the AMG GT 4-door is kind of bland from that angle too.
Yeah, I think it's just because of the roof line. They want to make it like a coupe, so it's going to look a little kind of bulbous on the back end.
Yeah,
so it just doesn't look right.
It just doesn't look as muscular as a normal.
At this angle, it looks pretty good, I think, because it looks correct here. But you're right, on the front end, the front 3/4, when you're looking at the back, it's not great there.
I guess the nice thing with the Grand Coupe, however, is you do get kind of reasonably sized front doors.
Yeah,
because the regular one is like, I think the door is like 4 feet long. It's almost the length of the wheelbase.
It basically is, because when you sit in because when I was in a convertible, where I sat was almost over the rear wheels.
Yeah.
So yeah, the door is basically, like you said, 4 foot long.
Yeah, and I mean the way they've obviously raised the roof with the Grand Coupe to give it a usable back seat, but that alone does hurt the styling quite a bit.
So
like, from this angle,
well, I'll give you a little bit of a preview here. Because as you know, I've been putting some child seats into vehicles,
Hmm.
and I have a video that I haven't posted yet. This one's going up live
Oh,
in a
this angle
bit.
looks good.
Yeah, well, the front three quarter, it's all right.
It's the same
This,
as the.
this, I mean, this, but like if you look at the back, it's different. Anyways,
Yeah.
if I go on the inside here, wait, where's this car seat? There it is. Um, I couldn't put the car seat in normally
Hmm.
because of just how much headroom there was on that roof line. I had to kind of wedge it in. So I had to put this little bar that's on the top of the car seat in to wedge the car seat in before I'm able to put it back up. Like it's, yes, you can fit people in the back,
Mhm.
but if you're using it as a family vehicle, a 5 Series is going to be better.
Yeah, and I've been kind of confused with the naming of that too. Is why is it
8 is basically a 5 coupe.
is the six?
Yes,
No,
8 is a 6. 6 is no more, but 6 is the
eight
5.
is the six. Imagine you telling yourself, okay, now there's no more six, but the eight is a six. It's like,
BMW did this back in like way back. I can't remember
yeah,
when, but like the 6 Series, there was in the 70s and 80s, I think. There was the 6 Series. Then they killed it off, and then I think in the early 90s, can't remember the dates exactly, but I think in the early 90s, the 8 Series came out, which replaced the 6. And then they killed off the 8, and then the 6 came back.
yeah.
And then
They're
killed off
like,
the 6
which number do Chinese people like more?
again.
Because they like both of them. Can this go to air? I'm gonna edit that out. No, we'll leave that in.
I think it's okay because we're saying it, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But
Well, the
like,
Cantonese speakers don't care for six, but
but I just think like the car itself, it looks great, but you lose so much on that practicality. Is it worth it compared to 5? And it's quite a bit more money than the 5.
looking at this and looking at the M5 CS we saw last week, I take the M5 CS. I think
M5 CS is
as
more than this, I think, though.
well, and even the comp, let's say just the M5 comp. I
Yeah,
think just the proportions are better. I like the more squared off look of the M5. Um, at least in this four-door form, it doesn't do it for me quite as much as other Grand Coupes in the past. The previous six, like the six, the F10 generation six, is that one I'm thinking of? Grand Coupe. That one was really sexy, but it had an even less usable back. Yeah, those ones. I really
yeah,
like. So they didn't bother. They're like, we'll stick with a compromise or really compromised roof line. The back seat is really bad on that
yeah.
generation.
So one of my good friends have one of these,
Yeah.
and it's his parents. They're of course a little older. I think they're in their 50s.
Mm.
They went from a 7 Series to this because the BMW sales were like, oh, this is like the cool new 7
Mhm.
Series. And of course, they didn't really know that. I mean, they leased it for 3 years. They don't really care, but they hate this car. They absolutely hate it. They're like, getting in and out is difficult because it's like lower. It's
Yeah, the roof is
the
so
roof line is lower. The seat is lower, and because of how much they hate it, they actually just park it inside their garage, and they lease another GLC just to drive.
low.
Like they have another car that they just drive because they
This is
hate
a
this
nice
one.
car. I really like this car.
And it's a 650. It's a good 6 is not the
Quite
640.
a desirable car, yeah.
It's great. Like I told them, I'm like, if you don't want it, I can take it. And they're like, oh, if you want to take it, you can take care of the lease payments too. Then I was like, you know what? Nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean the upkeep on a BMW Turbo V8 is just within the lease you're okay, but you don't
Yeah,
really want to keep that outside of the lease.
no, you don't. It's, but you're no, it looks so
When
good.
this came out early 2012, 2013, and I think back then this still is a really attractive car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this shape.
And if you really want one, a used one, they're really cheap if you want to deal with it.
Yeah, the M6s were cheaper than like an
The fives.
M4.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Well,
the,
five is one thing. They're kind of on the same level. But if you're looking at like a 2015, I think an M3 is more expensive than the M6, even though when they were new, the M6 was probably 40, 50 grand more. Um, yeah, let's see what a M6 goes for these days.
I mean, might as well.
No, for
62K
five.
for M6 cab. I
Well,
don't
we
want
got to
that.
go like 2012 and up, or
So
2013.
2016 M6 Grand Coupe is 75K.
Yeah, there's one down there for 47. It's probably a rebuild, but who knows? It may not be
Nope,
actually.
not a rebuild.
Title. See, you can't even get an E90 generation. Well,
You can probably get
you
E90.
can't get a 2013 E90 M for not with that kind of mileage.
Yeah.
And this is a wow, you put NTO1s on the rear. This car's definitely been abused.
NTO1s
Our comp-
on the rear, NTO5s on the front. Yeah.
yeah,
Professionally tuned
that's a
by
drag
DMV.
car.
750
Yeah.
horsepower, 740 pound-feet of torque.
This car is leaking from every orifice. Like you can
Hey, but for 46 or 47K, you can get them down. It's worth a gamble.
It is. If you could slap one of those extended warranties on them, honestly, for the price of what we were saying earlier, an A220, or worse yet, an M235
Yeah.
Grand Coupe, get that instead with a warranty.
Yeah. Actually, this
Yeah.
isn't bad. I mean, 50K for 2015, all black, 72,000 on it. Like, they're not that expensive.
And
They're
they're
really
pretty,
not.
they're fast,
Yeah.
but yeah, you just need a warranty, and then
Yeah.
so
Well,
they're all modded too.
yeah. And there's some guy that has a 335 stage 3 and says is an M3. Anyways, we'll ignore that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I think getting these turbo V8s over 600 horsepower is not too hard.
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah,
Just a chip and a tune.
yeah, they all got race cats on them and what have you. Kind of scratches the same itch as the new ones, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that brings us to our final discussion. And the final discussion is affordable sports cars. I mean, attainable and affordable sports car. I'm not talking about that's going to be used because that's a whole different topic. I want to talk about
Yeah,
brand new, attainable sports cars. Because, I mean, for a lot of people, I mean, you get your first job, you're younger. Like my brother-in-law, he bought a Civic Si, used one, but he's looking at the brand new BRZ and he's like, "Oh, I really like that." And I'm like, "Do you really want that? Because there's so much better choices."
yeah. How much is a BRZ? Is mid 30s.
So I did a little bit of digging in the back end. Let me do this here. Wait a second. I need my screen. All right. I did a little bit of digging already because I was curious. A BRZ, the one that you want is probably the TS, but you're probably okay with the Sport Tech RS. You don't need
It's a small price jump.
it's a small price jump, but 32 to 34. 34K, not bad. You get the sash dampers, you get the STI coil springs, you get the
Fancy
STI brakes. It looks good too. Like this is a good looking car. For 34, it's not bad. Then I was like, what else can you get?
Brand
And
new for 34.
then I started looking. I was actually surprised. The MX5 that I want, the GSP in Canada is called GSP, but it's basically with the Sport Pack. So you get the Bilstein's shocks, and then Sport Pack adds the Brembo front brakes and LSD and all that other stuff. And that's 40K. Actually, no, it's more than that. It's 43K.
So now that was the spec that I wanted originally. After driving this car, you don't need the Recaros, you don't need the brakes, so the car weighs nothing.
No.
And the Bilsteins Actually, the one I have has the dual scenes on it. The GS.
Yeah. So without the sport pack, the sport pack adds the brakes, red caliper on the back, the BBS wheels, and the
Yeah.
Recaros. The Recaros and the regular seats, they're minimal differences.
Yeah.
So you can say 4,400. So then it'll come to your 36 or 38,000. It's still 38,000 bucks, man. That's a lot of money for
You know,
MX5.
there's not that many cars that are this special. This was always kind of the gripe with this car. When the ND first came out, me and a bunch of other guys, we took Mazda Canada's. They had that steel blue one at the time, and we took it down to Pacific Raceways, and we drove that around Pacific Races along with an FRS. And in stock form, the biggest issue with this ND still, even with the ND2 as they've updated, is still the suspension is way too soft for real track use.
But it's not designed for track use.
No, it's for
It's
back roads.
back roads and having fun on
Yeah,
just any curvy road. And it's great for that because it soaks up those bumps. But on a track, you're absolutely right. It's so soft.
yeah, it makes the right sound. It's the right size.
But
Speaking of of this CLA that is not being delivered for a recall. Good point about the soft suspension. So my mom is currently driving this 2017 ND right now because her CLA is not being delivered because of recall reasons. And obviously the ride is totally no problem for someone in her late 50s. And it's a nice little car for that. So yeah.
I think the ND is one of those true cars that you can drive every day.
Yeah.
Like it's so efficient.
It's so special too.
When I drove it, I was averaging 6.5 and I wasn't driving it easily.
Yeah, no, it will do sub 8 like really easy, like
Yeah.
or city driving. And it's got a usable trunk. It's deep enough, I would say. You're not going furniture shopping with it, but
I went to IKEA with an MX5. I put the top down and I think I bought a clothing rack. So I had it sticking out from the passenger side through the top. It works.
that's not how they intend to use that car. But so if we're talking about affordable sports cars under 40, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so
I think 40
like
or
40, 50K. Like the Camaro, I
that's a
have a
lot of
spec.
car.
I spec'd out the one I would want. I know it's not the one that you would want because you had a Camaro before and it was different than this. This is the V6, so the 1LT with the 1LE package. So it's the one that I would want because
Yes.
the V6, I think it's enough power to where it's fun, but not so much power where like if the track's a little wet or you're driving on the back roads and it's a little wet, you're going to get into trouble easily. I think this is like that good middle ground.
What about the 4-cylinder?
No, I don't want the 4-cylinder.
No.
I mean, I'll take the 4-cylinder in the Mustang, which I also have here. And this is the 2.3 with the high performance package and the handling package.
Well, that's under 40.
Right under 40, the 39K. And then of course you can get a 370Z. I mean, if you really want to.
No, don't get that.
That's 30K. But
no, that's got an open diff on it too. And
but the base, yeah, well, you can just get an aftermarket LSD. But the base 370 is the one. If you are looking at a 370, that's the one you should be getting, because if you go with anything above that, like I test drove,
they go that high.
I got a chance to drive the Nismo. I mean,
it's more than my Camaro was.
the Nismo's almost $50,000. It's 49K. It's 10K off or $1,000 off from 50. It's beautiful though. Okay, let me just say I love how Nismo have their design, or the front bumper, the rear, the skirt. It looks great, but looks do not like push that car $18,000 or $19,000 up. It has the same engine, same horsepower, same torque figures, same transmission. fundamentally,
And it's like they don't realize what's out there. It's like that Mustang or that Camaro or even that ND. It's like
for
what?
pure fun,
Yeah.
the ND is great. I think the ND is the one I would pick if it's going to be the fun car that I want to drive every day.
Yes. But
Um,
the reason we bring this up is really the 400Z is on its
400Z.
way. And if it slots into the similar price point, let's say it, I don't think they will do this really stripped down model.
I don't
That
think it will
model
actually.
is actually really garbage. Like if you
Um,
get into the
I don't know if you've ever seen the 370Z, the base model, because it doesn't have a screen on the center instrument cluster.
yeah.
The rear view camera, because that's or the rear view display, because that's to be legal to sell a vehicle, you have
Mm,
to have that. It's in the rear view camera
in the mirror.
in the mirror. Remember back in
Yeah.
2010 when Toyota Highlander has that, or like
My Prius had it. My
yeah,
2010
like
Prius has it.
this is 2020 and they're putting that out. Like, how is that? It boggles
Yeah.
my mind.
It makes no sense. And the thing is, they had a head unit that has a little digital screen, like just a normal doubled in size on like the Versa or the Rogue or whatever. They have a normal head unit that they could have done the backup camera on. You know, that car does not even have Bluetooth streaming, from what I remember correctly.
Oh, really?
It has Bluetooth phone calls, but no streaming in 2020 or 2019. Like,
I I remember the one I had did have it because it was a Nismo. So it did have the head unit with the
yes, yeah,
display. So it was a little different, but there wasn't CarPlay or anything like that.
yeah. So 400Z, is that a very similar chassis to the Q60?
400Z is the exact same underpinning as the 370Z.
Oh,
It's sheet metal work on top and then some interior rework.
right.
It's
But it
it's
gets
been
that red sport motor, something along those
yes, they
lines.
are. In order for it to have the 400, they're going to put 400 horsepower in it. So it's going to have the Q50 engine in it, which is the 3-liter, I believe, twin turbo V6 with 400 horse and like 390 torque or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a
And
good engine.
even then, is that really competitive with what we just saw from
So
Ford and Chevy? It's like,
I I drove the Q50 recently, and it was only the base Q50 or base Q50 engine with 300 horsepower. The engine is very good.
right.
It makes good power, torque is good, and it makes a good sound. It and it makes torque low down, which kind of makes you feel like there's more power than the 300 number like actually tells you. It felt good. I actually liked the Q50. With 400 horsepower, I think it's good enough.
Hmm.
Is it
That's a lot of
competitive?
power.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it competitive to Camaro 1LE? I don't think so. It's comparable to like maybe the um
Soup?
non like just a regular like the just a 1LT or the 2LTs rather than an actual LE package because it's not like a Nismo version. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I think it's
Yeah.
going to be comparable. It's going to be good. I just don't think
Yeah.
until they get a Nismo version, it's not going to be that
I mean,
good.
the Supra doesn't have that kind of power, but everyone loves the Supra.
Yeah, but you open a
Handles
window in a
amazing.
Supra and then you just get blown
It's
out.
not a Supra,
I,
but it is an amazing handling car, and it looks better than this 400C. I think.
I okay. So this may be just me, but I love this rear 3/4 view on the 400.
I do. I don't like
think
the front
well
so much.
the front they can only do what they can because it's the 350 or three. Well, actually, it dates back to the 350 underneath, really. But the back end is where I love it the most. I think that's the best part about the 400.
Yeah, and I mean, even 4 or 5 years ago, we were already saying the Z34 generation is outdated, and they haven't, like we said with the Raptor earlier, they haven't pushed the boundaries that much.
They-
Um,
But
we don't know yet. We don't know
these are like a sports car is not the brand's halo car, right? It's not the car
yet.
that it's not their bread and butter. It's not the car that sells the most. It's going to be their SUV. Nissan spent a lot of money developing that new Rogue, which I absolutely think it's a winner.
Yeah,
It's
their
better
Sentra's
than
a
the
winner.
yeah.
The Ultima's a winner. The new path.
Ultima. I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I don't know about the Ultima. Sentra is really good. The Rogue is really good. The Pathfinder that's releasing tomorrow, I'm excited to see what.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it will be better than the Highlander. I mean,
I mean,
we'll cover it next week, but
yeah, we'll definitely will take a look at it
the
because
new Armada is kind of cool.
okay,
Is it
you
called the
can't really
Armada or
call it a new Armada because it's not a new Armada.
the Patrol?
I mean, no, the Armada was just that's a facelift. There's nothing that's new about it.
Oh, the Titan.
This is
that
just a
one.
facelift.
The Titan is kind of promising too.
Oh yeah, the Titan, and then there's
gonna be a Frontier.
Yes, there's a Frontier, but there also may be a third pickup from Nissan.
Ooh, where does that slot in?
Below the Frontier. The Frontier is going up in size a little bit, and then I think it's called the Navara.
Okay. Then they always had that name. I think that's what the Frontier used to be called.
Yeah. So in other parts of the world, it's a little bit smaller of a pickup.
Yeah. This screams like terrorist organization or like drug cartels chasing you down. It's like
I've been playing a lot of Tom Clancy Wildlands, and this basically looks like the same pickup truck that's in there.
Yeah, there's something about the smaller Japanese trucks that just gives off that vibe of, this is the car that's shooting at you from.
So I think what you're looking for is Hilux with a gun on top. So this is kind of what you have in mind. Yeah, there you go.
Or search ISIS.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to search that. I'm good. Actually, if I do that, if I search up Toyota IS, it comes up with
that little crossover MPV. My parents rented that in Japan. I'm like, why would they name it that?
Someone just didn't get the joke or something. It's a horrible name for it.
Yeah. No. So back to the sports car thing, under 50 grand, BRZ or so I think your pick would probably be one of these.
If it was my money, 370Z, Camaro 1LT, 1LE, BRZ, MX5, or the Mustang, I would probably pick the Camaro.
I'll probably go Mustang.
Oh, well, that's perfect. Let's buy one so we can do a video on comparing them. Or, alternatively, if it's going to be like something, it depends. Like if I want to take it more to the track, if I see myself doing that more, I would probably pick the 1LT, 1LE, or even the 1SS, 1LE, which is exactly what you had before.
Yeah.
But if I'm just want to enjoy my life without going to the track, MX5.
This will go to the track. I mean,
it will, but I don't need to enjoy the car.
So what I'm thinking with this car is don't get the performance pack because the stock brakes are just fine and the stock seats are just fine. Save the money and
no.
a nice set of pullovers.
The brakes and the seats come with the sport pack. The GSP comes with other stuff that I can't remember.
Just get the normal GS.
No, the base GS is so base though. That's 35K. I can't remember what the difference was.
I have the base GS. So. It's okay.
It's fine. I just had one the other like a couple weeks ago. It was the GS. Wait, let's take a look. MX5 soft top specs load GS and GSP. Okay,
it's quite the price jump. $4,000.
There we go. Specs. Same engine. Yeah, we know that already. Engineering features. Optional paddle shifters. Oh, right. You can get an automatic. Brembo's. What else? Oh,
There you
front
go.
strut tower, LSD. That's what it gets. Your GSP
Oh, they
and
don't give you the
Bilsteins.
LSD anymore.
Yeah. Oh, you
Okay,
also get
so
the sound enhancer, which is very cool.
before they didn't have the GSP, so the GS already had this limited slip and the Bilstein shocks, which again is not the end of the world. The car does not have the power to need an LSD.
I I mean, I when I drove the base GS version, I can not confirm that I may have done some donuts in it.
And it's fine.
Yeah, and it was completely fine. It was still a whole lot of fun.
Because I've
Oh,
driven open diff
mm.
and Torsen Miatas.
Yeah, but your Torsen Miata is like old.
And well, I mean, no, even the ND.
Oh, the end. Okay, I thought you were talking about the your NB that you have in your garage that you don't remember.
Yeah, that car too. But I think the open diff is just fine. Like there's a few corners on track where the open diff kind of lets you down, but otherwise, I think the characteristic of that car, you don't really need the limited slip. So if
I think at this power level, it's not a huge
yeah, what slip
factor.
is yeah.
Yeah, I think the GSP you get LSD, heated mirrors, which is actually kind of useful.
How is that not a standard feature? Holy crap.
You also have heated seats,
They did
which
bring the price down though.
I
I
think
think
that's what they did.
I think that was the point.
I thought there was a GX before, even more base
Yeah,
version.
yeah, there was.
Yeah,
Is there
but
no GX anymore?
no GX. So it's just GS,
Oh.
GSP, and GT. Like I would put the extra money into the GSP if it was
Yeah,
me.
yeah, no.
I mean the
I didn't realize it
heated
was that basic.
the heated mirrors on the side is such a useful feature. My CX3 that I had before did not have heated mirrors,
Oh.
and in the rain, I could not see anything or anyone. So you just sort of guess, which was fine.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, if I had to buy brand new, yeah, I think the Mustang it makes sense. It's just a more livable car than a Camaro. That's the only.
It you get more visibility out of it. Yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah, and it's just interior is a little bit nicer.
Yeah, but the exterior, the Camaro, you gotta admit that is a much more aggressive machine
It's got a
than
good
the
shape,
Mustang.
but ever since the facelift, I'm not that in love with it.
Really, I don't mind this.
This one is okay, but yeah, and I think the black hood is not my cup of tea.
You need the black hood; it reduces glare.
I know that's why mine was black because I didn't want people to know I had a black hood. Yeah, yeah. I don't know
Well,
why that's their thing. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I want to test drive one of these, but Chevy just hasn't had a Camaro that I want on fleet. They had the 2-liter 1LE, which I did
Mhm.
enjoy, but it was underpowered for the Alpha platform because when you have 600 and whatever horsepower on the new CT5V Blackwing, and the 2-liter only has like I think it was like under 300, it was underwhelming. Uh,
Yeah. Well, and as I mentioned earlier, I mean, with their suspension tuning, even the V8 feels underpowered.
on a
On
nice hot
track,
track, maybe.
yes, but on the street, in the rain, no, but on the track, yes.
I remember the time that it was raining and we were in your Camaro. I think you spun in third gear.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe fourth even, but because it's all low end. That's the problem with that car is under 1500 RPM, you have way too much torque on tap. But on a track, no, it's brilliant.
Well, I think that's really it for today. I think that's all really kind of want to go over. Was there anything else that we missed? I don't think so.
Nope. Yeah, no, that should be good. We did the Blackwing, a Raptor, just those are big. Those are big stories, I think.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's time to wrap it up. It's been about an hour and a half. Yeah. Thank you everyone for listening, and stay subscribed because we're gonna do this every week. We're gonna go
Yeah,
over
we'll try new
everything.
things, and we appreciate the feedback, and we'll try to incorporate some new things to our show.
And I got some actually guest people that may be appearing in the future as well.
Oh yeah, people are lining up.
All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.